This is the Hull A by MISC, a solo light freighter with a unique spindle design that can hold a whopping 64 SCU of cargo, outclassing other light freighters. Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hull A, the smallest ship in the Hull series, and seeing if it's worth your hard-earned cash or credits. Running for $90 standalone or your regional equivalent plus 6 months of insurance and just over 1.7 million credits in-game at the time of this video's publishing, the Hull A has a steeper buy-in for your typical starter ship. And this is because other starter ships tend to be jacks of all trades, good at everything but masters of none. The Hull A instead is a master of cargo hauling. This specialization can make it very lucrative for starting haulers looking to build capital quickly and utilizing it as a stepping stone to buying bigger medium freighters such as the Argo Raft, Cutlass Black, Freelancer, and the C1 Spirit. Also, despite the Hull A being an entry-level hauler, it is not currently part of any starter packages at the time of this publish. So if you are a newer player, then this ship is a ship that you will probably work towards in-game instead, unless you're willing to pay for this ship with real dosh to skip some of the grind. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the technical specs. The Hull A is the smallest ship in the Hull series at just 17 meters in length and only needing a small hangar to operate. But much like the other Hull counterparts, it can extend its spindle to accept cargo, increasing its length up to 22 meters. However, even when extended, the Hull A still fits easily in any small hangar. Sporting 12 maneuvering thrusters, 4 beefy-sounding VTOL thrusters that are always active, 2 retro thrusters on the front, and 1 large main circular engine flanked by 2 auxiliary mains, the Hull A has a hefty amount of rear output thrust just to help tug around heavy cargo, especially when fully loaded. Now, despite the large amount of thrusters, the Hull A handles like a boat, even without cargo. Its SCM speeds top out at a mediocre 140 meters per second unboosted and 340 meters per second boosted. Its nav mode tops out at a slow 950 meters per second, which is the same nav top speed as the Starlancer Max. When loaded down with cargo, the handling and acceleration worsens, requiring a bit more foresight when navigating since the weight can severely delay actions in an emergency. Even worse is that the port and starboard maneuvering thrusters struggle to hold altitude when the ship is in a steep bank angle while loaded down with cargo, so always be sure to have the ship level and avoid over-rolling. But let's be real, the Hull A is not a racer, it's a cargo ship, so let's take a closer look at what it's actually good at: cargo. The biggest selling point of the Hull A is its cargo grids, which when extended allows the ship to haul 64 SCUs of cargo, far outclassing any other light freighter. And while it lacks any built-in tractor beam for loading and unloading cargo, the exterior grid panels are easy to access for quick mounting and dismounting of cargo via a handheld tractor beam. Also, a funny side note, currently you can retract and extend the spindle while cargo is still attached. It's a funny bug that doesn't actually affect anything serious, and may potentially be a nice way to defend your cargo if you're planning on going into hostile space. At least until CIG fixes it. But also keep in mind, if you still want to store the ship with the spindles extended, they will bug out when the ship is spawned, preventing you from attaching cargo. A quick fix for this is to double tap the cycle configuration button, which is Alt plus K as the default keybind. This will fix the cargo grids and make the cargo reattachable once more. And as a habit, you should store the ship without any cargo attached. If you store cargo on the ship while storing the ship, the spindles will appear broken when you call up the ship again. The cargo will still be attached, but it will look a little bit funny. In my testing, this doesn't really affect anything, just the look of it. But if you are doing a cargo mission or are hauling precious cargo, get in the habit of storing cargo and properly folding the spindle before storing the ship, just to be safe. Consider this piece of guidance a warning, as I cannot guarantee not following this recommendation will ensure your cargo is safe from Bug Citizen. Now, the Hull A is not 100% fully gold standard yet, as some elements, mostly those inside the ship, are still behind in receiving new features and improvements from the ever-evolving development cycle. And as a quick reminder as to what gold standard actually is, a gold standard ship is a ship that has been updated to all the possible relevant vehicle features and final polish. This means finalized visual effects, metrics, accessible component housings, and finalized lighting and material passes, and much more. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but for now let's go ahead and take a look at how the Hull A actually defends itself. Defensively, the Hull A sports a size 5 chin turret that sports 2 size 1 guns, no missiles, a size 2 shield generator in a bubble configuration, 2 size 1 coolers, 1 size 1 power plant, and 1 size 1 quantum drive. It also features 2 countermeasure dispensers, one for decoys and the other for noise. Being that this ship is industrial in nature, its signature can be quite high. Coupled with its slow top speed at just 140 meters per second in SCM and 950 meters in nav mode, it'll mean that you'll probably be a magnet for fast-moving missiles, so be sure to program multiple decoys before launching to ensure that you overcome your ship's high output. Now, despite the Hull A's small frame, it has a healthy amount of HP, sitting at 130,200 HP at the time of publish. For context, the Terrapin has 168,000 HP, so despite the slow speed and poor maneuverability, the Hull A is a small tank that can take a beating, although it has no other additional damage reduction modifiers beyond the base physical damage reduction. The Hull A has a small hydrogen tank compared to its competitors. Even so, in my hours of testing, I never really felt like the hydrogen tank was too much of a nuisance, although the effects will be felt a lot more the more you often travel weighed down with cargo or operate in atmosphere. But where it lacks hydrogen capacity, it makes up for it with high quantum fuel capacity, only matched in quantum fuel capacity by the Intrepid, making it a perfect long hauler. The default quantum drive can get the Hull A anywhere both in Stanton and Pyro in a single jump. Just expect the trip to be a long one since the default is an industrial grade C drive. If you do plan to bump up the drive, expect to refuel a little bit more often, but you'll still enjoy the long range regardless thanks to that big quantum tank. Now, fair warning, don't manually replace your components. Currently, the Hull A is very buggy as the item sockets don't work properly, and even worse, if you remove the quantum drive, you'll also remove the jump drive, bricking your ability to use the jump gates properly. Instead, just use the VMA app on the mobiGlass until CIG updates the Hull A to gold standard. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look inside. Upon entry, we end up in the component Access Way airlock that bridges the cockpit and habitation. The airlock features a suit locker and the multiple bays that house the crucial components needed for the ship to function. Although curiously, the shield generator seems to be missing from the bays, at least in the current builds right now. There seems to be an oversight here as the component bays are not marked on the exterior panels, meaning you have to guess which of the bays have the proper components you want to access. Luckily, when opening the bays, they are marked internally. It would just be a much better design to have both the exterior and interior of the bays marked, making it easier to identify the components you want to triage. What also is missing is an engineering console for when engineering gameplay is implemented. Again, this is because the ship is not fully yet 100% gold standard, like I mentioned earlier in the video. Now, veering off to the right as we enter from the ladder is the habitation compartment. This is where the pilot can rest and recharge during long hauls. It comes with a weapon locker and a personal storage locker with 1 SCU of storage capacity. A bed that's useful for bed logging in between hauling sessions, along with some buttons to change the lighting state. The bed also serves as an escape pod for the pilot whenever CIG adds functional escape pods to the game. Included in the habitation compartment is a small kitchenette with a working mini fridge. And while it's nice, the habitation compartment is missing a place for the pilot to sit down and eat. So owners will have to be content just standing around and eating, since in my testing, sitting in the bed just drops items on the floor, so they can't even have their depressing meal while sitting on the bed. If they converted this small panel below the food dispenser into a pop-out chair, like the Nomad has for example, it would be a much better improvement for creature comfort. Now, I know it's not a big deal, but Star Citizen is known for its attention to detail, so having those kind of little things missing from this ship is kind of a little bit odd, at least to me. Now, in the back of the habitation compartment is the bathroom, which can be locked despite the ship being a single-seater, so if a buddy needs to use the throne in the back, they have the peace of mind knowing that you won't walk in on them while they do their business. It's also a place a player could barricade themselves in an emergency. Unfortunately, MISC's engineers seem to have forgotten to remove the lock and unlock door functionality from the outside entrance of the bathroom. So even if you do lock the bathroom while you're inside, somebody on the outside of the door can still unlock the bathroom anyway. Whoops. Now, the mirror in the bathroom does not have a functional reflection yet, so owners will have to be content with the realization that they are vampires. But it does at least have a medicine cabinet that you can access, and much like any other ship in the game, the bathroom is a toilet-shower combo. Although the commode does not look very comfortable judging by those thin edges around the rim of the seat. That is that famous industrial function over form from MISC, I guess. You'd think, I guess, the Xi'an and human hybrid would be able to at least make some nice comfortable seats, but I guess they don't. Maybe the Xi'an don't care for comfortable bathrooms. I mean, look at the Sulin. Anyway, I digress. Alright, back up to the front of the ship, past the airlock and component access way, we have the cockpit. The pilot's chair stands invitingly in this cozy little office, and once seated, the canopy view is incredible. Now, it's not as great as the Prospector or Fortune, but it's definitely better than the Freelancer, Starlancer, or its bigger brother, the Hull C. Sporting 4 MFD panels, the Hull A has an abundance of information to display for the pilot. In my opinion, since the ship is not a combat vessel, and while its view is nice, it's still limited, so you will want to stick with the compact HUD instead of the extended HUD when flying around, as this will give you the best view, which will be needed as this thing can be a pig while under load, so being able to see clearly is key if you don't want to become vulture food while flying around a space station or outpost while fully loaded. So, is the Hull A worth your money? Yes, absolutely, especially if you can get the credits to get one in-game, which costs about 1.7 million. Or even better, if you don't have much cash on hand, but want to make the cash needed to buy a Hull A outright, rent one instead. You can rent them at Bajini Point, Seraphim Station, Lorville, and Everest Harbor. The downside to rentals is that you cannot change any of the components. This thing can seriously snowball your capital pretty quickly, and it doesn't require much trading know-how since you can make a lot of money by just doing hauling contracts. But also the risk of losing money on a bad trade or bug while doing free trading instead of contracts with this ship is not as huge compared to, say, losing an entire million credit C2 haul, for example. The Hull A is rivaled by only one ship in its class, the Nomad, which costs $95 as a starter package, $80 standalone, or 1.5 million in-game credits, only slightly cheaper than the Hull A. The Nomad comes with a 24 SCU unprotected rear cargo grid, but it also comes with a tractor beam hardpoint in the rear. The Nomad can also fight in a pinch with its 3 size 3 guns, but it's still a courier ship at the end of the day, so don't expect to win series fights often, as it's also a heavy pig. If you are new to Star Citizen and looking to jump in and play as a hauler, you will be relegated to picking one of the starter ship game packages since you cannot play unless you obtain a package that includes access to the game. The Hull A, unfortunately, is not part of any starter packages at the time of publishing this video, so the Nomad might be your daily driver instead to use while you work your way up to another ship like the Hull A. If you are already playing the game and are looking for your next ship to earn big money with, the Hull A is one of the easiest specialized ships to grind towards and will continue to help you build capital fast. As a player closes in on their first million credits, they will want to decide which career field they want to buy their next ship for. Many choose to grind a little bit longer to afford the Vulture or Prospector, but if salvaging and mining don't seem appealing to you, then grab the Hull A, especially if you are interested in pure hauling and are either not at all interested in combat or have another vessel that is already specialized in that field. Trust me when I say that this plucky little hauler rarely fails to disappoint. Alright folks, that's it for me today talking about the Hull A by MISC, the small hauler with a big cargo grid. Are you already a Hull A owner? If so, let me know if you have or have not been enjoying it. And if you are a prospective buyer, has this video informed your purchasing decisions? Let me know below in the comments your thoughts and let's have a chat. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please leave a like as it really does help out the channel and it ensures that this video reaches more players and also informs them as well. And of course, if you want to watch more videos like this and much more down the line, be sure to subscribe as well. If you're interested in going a little bit above and beyond and supporting the work that I do here, do consider becoming a channel member like these fine folks right here, whose contributions help me out immensely when it comes to putting videos together for you all, as well as they had early access to this video before it went live to everyone else. Until next time, fly safe, keep those thrusters hot, and I'll see you all in the black.